She reported me to the HOA, but what she didn't know was that I had something on her that could destroy her perfect little life. It all started one quiet evening when I pulled into my driveway and found a bright red notice taped to my front door. Violation. My stomach dropped. I had never received one before, and my yard was pristine. My house freshly painted, everything in line. But as I peeled the paper from the door, I noticed a detail that made my blood boil. Someone had specifically reported me, not just the HOA itself, and I didn't need to guess who it was. Across the street, standing in her front yard with folded arms and that smug smirk plastered across her face, was Marjorie, the self-proclaimed queen of the neighborhood. People called her the HOA Karen, and she loved every second of the power she thought she had. At first, I thought it was just another power move, one of those petty games she played. But as I read the violation letter, I realized this was more than a nuisance. She had accused me of running an unapproved business from my home, a claim that could carry massive fines and even force me to move out. My jaw clenched, but inside, my anger was bubbling into something darker. Because while Marjorie thought she held all the cards, what she didn't know was that I had seen something she would never want anyone to know. The funny thing about people like Marjorie is that they re-loud when they think they untouchable, but behind that mask, there's always a secret. And I had hers. I remembered the night clearly. About 3 months earlier, I had been walking my dog past her house when I saw her sneaking into her garage, carrying stacks of boxes. Strange, because she always yelled at others for storing junk outside. But that wasn't what caught my attention. The boxes weren't labeled storage or Christmas. They had logos from luxury brands, handbags, perfumes, electronics. At first, I thought maybe she had a shopping addiction. But then I saw something chilling. The shipping labels didn't even have her name. They were addressed to different people who lived across the city. I didn't think much of it then. Maybe she had a side hustle. Maybe she was helping friends. But then I heard her once on the phone shouting about reselling before they catch on. That was when it clicked. Marjorie wasn't just nosy. She was running an illegal reselling scheme right from her garage. But I kept that to myself. Until now. As I stood there holding the violation notice, she waved across the street, grinning like she had just won a war. "Good luck with the HOA board meeting," she called out, her voice dripping with smugness. I smiled back, but not in the way she expected. Because in that moment, I knew exactly what I was going to do. The days leading up to the HOA board meeting were tense. She kept filing complaints. His lawn is half an inch too high. His trash bins aren't pulled in on time. It was harassment, plain and simple, and yet the board always seemed to take her side. That was when I realized she wasn't just another HOA member. She was secretly pulling strings with the board, whispering in their ears, twisting their perception. But here's where the first twist came. The night before the meeting, I got a knock on my door. It wasn't the HOA. It wasn't a neighbor. It was a delivery driver holding a package. But the package wasn't for me. The label had Marjorie's name scratched out and replaced with mine. I took it, confused, and when I opened it, I froze. Inside were 10 brand new sealed iPads, stolen, still with anti-theft stickers. My heart pounded. She had clearly made a mistake in rerouting her deliveries, and now I was holding the evidence. At that moment, a thought struck me. She wanted to ruin me with the HOA. Fine. But now I had the power to destroy her not just in the neighborhood, but legally. The board meeting came. The room was packed. Every nosy neighbor showed up, whispering, ready for the spectacle. Marjorie strutted in like a queen entering her throne room, holding her binder of complaints against me. She didn't even wait for the board to speak. She launched into her attack, claiming I was running a business, disturbing peace, and breaking HOA bylaws. People gasped, nodding along. And then it was my turn. I stood up slowly, holding the violation letter in one hand and the misdelivered package in the other. My voice was calm, steady, almost amused. Funny how some people here seem obsessed with following the rules, but don't follow them themselves. The room quieted instantly. All eyes turned to me. Marjorie's smile faltered. "What are you talking about?" she snapped. I set the package down on the table, opening it for everyone to see. This arrived at my doorstep by mistake. 10 iPads, not addressed to her, not ordered by her. Interesting, isn't it? Especially when you remember that HOA rules strictly forbid running an unauthorized business from your property. Gasps filled the room. Neighbors leaned forward, whispering frantically. Marjorie's face went pale. That's not mine," she stammered. But I wasn't finished. "And yet I've seen dozens of boxes like these going into her garage at midnight. I've heard her talking about reselling before they catch on." So, while she's busy accusing me of imaginary violations, maybe we should ask, what exactly has she been hiding? The room erupted. Board members whispered to each other, stunned. One even muttered about contacting law enforcement. Marjorie's hands shook as she tried to speak, but the words wouldn't come out. For the first time, her power was slipping through her fingers. But here's the real twist. Just when I thought I had won, something unexpected happened. One of the board members, a man I barely recognized, stood up and said, "We need to discuss this privately." They ushered Marjorie into a side room, leaving me outside with the neighbors. Minutes turned into an hour. Finally, the board emerged, but Marjorie was gone. And then they dropped the bomb. "She has stepped down from the HOA, effective immediately." No apology, no punishment, just gone. That should have been the end. But it wasn't. The very next day, I noticed her house looked abandoned. Curtains drawn, cars missing, mailbox overflowing. Within a week, a for sale sign appeared on her lawn. Rumors spread like wildfire. Some said she fled town before the police could get involved. Others whispered she had been running more than just a resale scam. Drugs, fraud, blackmail. No one really knew the truth. But every time I walk past that empty house, I wonder, how much did she really hide? And more importantly, if she was willing to destroy me just to protect her secret, then what else had she done to the people who didn't fight back? Because one thing I've learned in this neighborhood, the HOA drama never really ends. And sometimes the biggest enemy isn't at the board or the rules. It is the neighbor who thinks they can bury their secrets forever.